Afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Not yet afternoon. We are so happy to see you all here. And indeed, we see this event primarily as a space for sharing experiences. Nobody knows everything. And this issue, all women's issue, is all people's policies are kind of ignored by most of the people and society. So we are very much looking forward to learning from you all also. And we are two moderators, me and Fatma on the other corner. We are two moderators, so we will speak less and we will give the floor to our dear speakers. And before that, let me, as an introduction, I am specifically working, I am Dr. Selma Aciner, and I have been working on gender equality issues since long years. And I'm very familiar with United Nations work. I have been a negotiator here. And after the pandemic, COVID-19, I have established Patiska Platform together with Fatma. And because we were very furious about the discrimination exerted against older people during that time. And today, more than 1/4 of world's women are over 50 years old. And by 2050, this number will rise to 35% of the whole women's population in the world. It's high. It's a very high percent. But against this, older women continue to be invisible in gender equality policies, discussions, plans, and also funding. According to HelpAge data, in fact, only 0.1% of aid targeting gender equality policies includes any reference to older women. And, longer lives are a remarkable achievement of development, but it alone does not guarantee equal opportunities or equal rights for older people. And the point is that the problem is that as societies age, we also witness a troubling rise in ageism, prejudice, labeling, stereotyping, and discrimination based on age. The COVID-19 pandemic exposed this reality very clearly. I will give you two examples from my country, from Turkey. During COVID-19 pandemic, we had a lot of doctors speaking on TVs at galore. They were making comments on older people saying that they shouldn't go out. Even if when they go out, they should have some water with them, even if we don't know that we should take water with us. And one of them came to the TV and he said, under this protectionist policies, he said, older people are like antique cars. Would you ever take your valuable car into the sun? Can you imagine? And he was so proud when he was saying that because he was thinking that he was protecting older people, while at the same time he framed protection as ageism and discrimination, but he was not aware of that. And the other example is last October, the president of Social Security Institution linked the deterioration of the institution's financial balance to early retirement and increased life expectancy, saying that, this is really very interesting, in past we died at 50 years of age. Today, retirees receive pensions until 78 years of age. So he made older people the scapegoat of the economic crisis. So these are all very discriminatory kind of discourses. So in this context, aging must be understood not only as a biological process, but also a right-based life course that recognizes social participation, equal rights, and access to opportunities and dignity, of course. So we need an intersectional assessment of older people's status and the challenges they face and the policy needs in this field. I'm not going to go into the technicalities because we have very, good experts that will give us the information on what's going on older people. As a last word, we don't have the legal framework in place to protect older people. I think Bertil Hoca will go into the details with that. I'll just name it and pass. The current national and international human rights framework, since they do not provide strong, dedicated, and binding protection for older persons, we have been working on an international convention on the rights of older people. Hope it comes soon. It will take time, certainly. But this recent momentum at the UN toward developing such an instrument is a turning point, but it has to be inclusive, and we have to be in it as civil society organizations. And my suggestion is that please let's all together follow it. And as I finish my words here, I will not speak again, I promise. Rights do not expire with age. There is no expiration for rights. The dignity does not diminish over time, and equality cannot have an age limit. So, thank you. And now I would like to pass the floor to our very, very dear friends, sisters, colleagues, for their statements. And I will first give the floor to Bertil Emrah, Professor Bertil Emrah Öder. She's a prominent professor, a legal scholar in Turkey, but she will introduce herself because it's always very difficult to introduce people, it's most probably you miss points. So I will give the floor to her and listen to her text.
Thank you so much. Dear participants, dear colleagues, dear sisters, it is an immense pleasure for me to be part of this utterly significant event on digital equality as well as intersectional inequalities with a particular focus on ageism and older women. I extend my warmest regards to all of you and thank your interest and support in this panel. I am a professor of constitutional law with a focus on constitutional rights, constitutional judiciaries from a comparative perspective. I also hold the UNESCO chair on gender equality and sustainable development at Koç University, located in Istanbul. Throughout my career, I have been involved in different types of projects, not only the research projects, also in public engagement and capacity building projects for fostering gender equality in Turkey, in Balkan regions. And it is just a great opportunity for me to share my insights as regards digital inequalities from a perspective of intersectional discriminations with a focus on older women. Yet, we convene this panel amid the rise of aggression, atrocities, and offensive war, violating the foundational values of the United Nations, which underline actually the peaceful coexistence of the international community. As Eleanor Roosevelt once said, it is not enough to talk about peace. One must believe it, and it is not enough to believe in it. One must work at it, and we have to win the peace and say no to all kinds of aggressions. When I try to proceed with the digital equality as an overarching theme of this panel, I would like to draw your attention to the fact that the prevailing perspective on the connection between digital technologies and inequality has traditionally centered on digital divide. And digital divide actually describes various the exclusion as a phenomenon going beyond the borders, going beyond the countries, and it involves different types of groups, individuals, and segments of the society. And it refers to the fact of exclusion. This is the exclusion from the advantages of the digital technology. And the digital divide not only restricts access to vital services such as education, such as healthcare, such as employment, but it also threatens fundamental human rights to access social services, to access freedom of expression, and particularly as regards participation in societal decision-making. In other words, the digital divide has significant human rights implications, emphasizing that it is not just a practical issue, but it is also a legal and political one. Conversely, the digital divide is only one part of digital inequality. While current models mainly link inequality and digital exclusion, inclusive approaches can also maintain and strengthen other types of inequality. The rapid digitalization in all countries, including the developing countries, and widespread of digital inclusion have indeed promoted development, but this type of inclusion has sometimes increased the disparities in different regions of the world. Even within the efforts to promote digital inclusion, more privileged groups often gain disproportionate benefits from the efforts and resources of less advantaged populations. And we call this type of digital inequality as a negative inclusion or negative incorporation or adverse digital inclusion. For instance, social media commodifies users' emotions, photos, and videos, and platforms profit from unpaid labor, while women and children face psychosocial harms from abuse and violent imagery. And small businesses or migrant workers in developing countries also gain less compared advantages as compared to large firms or natives. Digital exclusion and adverse digital inclusion or negative inclusion in terms of digitalization are not mutually exclusive viewpoints when understanding the digital inequality. Instead, they can be closely intertwined, and they reveal different as well as complex aspects of digital inequality. In cases of digital exclusion, we also observe limited access to digital knowledge and limited access to digital resources. In cases of negative inclusion, access is provided to some extent, of course, and through various means, but inequalities persist or in some of the cases worsen due to discriminatory power structures, embedded hierarchies, or persistent forms of subjugation. And regarding gender-based disparities and their intersectional implications, including the ageism, inequitable outcomes may arise from digital systems due to the fact that the more privileged group, and this is mostly the white men, exercises control over the design of all those digital systems. We can think this as a design inequality. And besides the design inequality, we may also speak of resource inequality, which represents another form of barrier within digital inclusion. It is not a form of digital exclusion. We are just speaking within the framework of the digital inclusion. However, in terms of users, limited financial and physical resources, we can speak of the experiences of different types of inequalities. Significantly, we can also talk about institutional and formal inequality. And this may also contribute to disparities as both formal laws and regulations and informal norms and values tend to favor the more advantaged groups. And in this respect, elderly individuals exploited by swindlers, children involved in cybersex, women as targets of cyber violence on social media, and gig workers earning below minimum age, all those types of groups face these issues partly due to the lack of regulatory frameworks or regulatory protections or ineffective enforcement of existing ones. Consequently, commodification and exploitation patterns are reproduced and they are constantly reinforced in digital inclusion through ignorance or because of the weaknesses of legal and policy frameworks. Furthermore, we have an aggregation of digital platforms that generally operate opaque and unaccountable networks. They tend to foster monopolistic tendencies, algorithmic decision-making, and machine learning, insensitive to human rights, and non-responsive to inequalities, resulting in asymmetry of power between owners and the users. And this imbalance can facilitate unequal outcomes between system owners and their users or the participants, even though we are just still within the digital inclusion. And the intersectional inequalities may increase accordingly, particularly in cases of historically entrenched discrimination, including particularly race, social origin, and gender. At a global scale, we still observe principle-based and recommendation-based approaches to digital gendered inequalities that usually emphasize the digital divide aspect. Actually, in this sense, we do not observe many principle-based or recommendation-based approaches as regards digital inclusion aspect of the digital inequalities. And the UN has been one of the organizations drawing attention to the gender digital divide. For example, already in 1995, the Fourth World Conference on Women in Beijing recognized the transformative potential of information technologies for women's empowerment. And the annual sessions of the Commission on the Status of Women constantly feature discussions on information technologies and digital equality. You may remember in 2023, the main focus was on innovation and technological change and education in digital age for achieving gender equality and empowerment of all women and girls, of course, embracing the older women. The documents, particularly the UN documents, offer numerous well-supported recommendations. They also emphasize the significance of the issues, but they all lack specific, measurable targets to facilitate the implementation. As you have mentioned yesterday in the session, there is no monitoring mechanism, particularly as regards the recommendations or principle-based approach of the Commission on the Status of Women. Since the agreed conclusions contain no binding commitments, it is unlikely to prompt immediate tangible actions. When we look at the regional efforts, we could have expected that they play a decisive role in advancing digital equality. However, this did not happen as expected. The European Union's efforts to address the gender gap over the past decade have been very, very limited. The 2022 European Declaration on Digital Rights highlights inclusivity and gender balance in digital transformation, and like the UN documents, it lacks specific targets and enforcement. Similar policies in Africa, in Latin America, and the Caribbean also lack operational clarity and operational enforcement mechanisms. And there is a need for cohesive, measurable, and actionable strategies to ensure digital transformation benefits all genders and upholds the rights of women and girls. The global studies and strategy documents often overlook older women's data in digital transformations and usage, or they draw attention only to the dark sides of digitalization that I have mentioned. However, it seems possible to apply positive outcomes of digitalization for women in general and for older women in particular. For instance, the World Bank Global Findex 2025 reports that digital financial services driven by mobile phones have increased the global account ownership to approximately 80%, with gender gaps closing to only 5 percentage points in developing economies. And it is just a very good signal as regards financial inclusion of women through digitalization. Older women still risk, of course, still face actually a high risk of digital exclusion due to lower digital literacy, a lack of confidence, and accumulated life disadvantages. But if digital literacy increases, digitalization can become an advantage for them. A comprehensive global and domestic legal framework to combat age-based discrimination has long been overdue, as you have mentioned. Luckily, we are also taking the next step and advocating for the rights of older women in the digital age. And this is a proposed UN Convention on the Rights of Older Persons. And it is likely to become the next big human rights treaty adopted by the United Nations. And this convention seeks to address the truly fragmented human rights framework for older persons and to reaffirm fundamental human rights for older individuals. Unfortunately, in the domestic legal frameworks, we have the very similar issue. We have a truly fragmented layout, and it is very, very difficult to invoke the rights of the older women before the administrative units, before the public authorities, before the judiciary. And for older women, age stereotypes often reinforce gender stereotypes, and it is expected that the convention will incorporate a truly gender responsive and intersectional approach for the very first time. Given the increase in agency and human rights advocacy of older women over the past decade across areas such as the climate litigation, such as the care labor and social inclusion, the convention process should be viewed as a great opportunity to discuss issues like the digital divide and the digital inclusion for older women. It also presents a chance to highlight older women's agency in the decision-making and their participation in public and economic life through digitalization. Moreover, it offers a great opportunity again to frame digital rights for older women as part of broader human rights, including access to social life, digitalization of mobility issues, freedom of expression, access to digital healthcare services, and particularly preventive care standards. And in this respect, we have to conceive the convention not only a text, not only some sort of a drafting process. We have to conceive the convention as a process of democratic deliberation. It should be conceived as a key moment to tackle gender and ageism through binding, measurable, constructive legal standards for the productive use of digital technology for older women, and especially for the global empowerment of older women. I thank you very much for your patience and interest.
Well, it's a wow. You know, you have given us such a comprehensive framework, dear professor, that, you know, this was very interesting. You said design inequality, a new kind of, you know, conception now we got from you. And you talked about limited financial resources, institutional and formal inequalities. Older people are abused by swindlers. This is another issue which is very important. And discrimination against older people are reproduced. And of course, I cannot summarize what you have already said, but as a last word, I would say this was very important. Digital transformation should be responsive to all, not to specific people, not to white male people, but also to all of us. Thank you so much. And now I would like to pass the floor to Joanne. And she will introduce herself, but you know, I have to tell you that when we met in UN, at UN, we were two young women. Really, we were two young women. We were around 18, 25, 30, maybe 30s. And she's a trailblazer. She was at UNIFEM, and I was general director by the time. And since then, we have always kept our connection. So they are all my dear friends. So I will give you the floor, but not with this microphone, the new technology microphone to you.
Thank you. Thank you so
The
much.
new technologies.
Thank you so much, Selma. That is one of the huge gifts of aging, is that you have friends that you've known for 50 years, 60 years. But when I look at Selma, I still see 28-year-old Selma.
Thank you.
You see so much, you can never unsee what you saw. Anyway, I think You can probably see, oh, can you hear me? Yes. Can you hear me in the back? No, you can't. Uh-oh. Doesn't this work?
Hard to access the technology. huh?
Should I hold this closer? Is this better?
Yeah.
That's better. Okay, we're good. Okay, anyway, so I am very honored to be part of this distinguished panel, and thank you so much, Professor, for that. You might notice that all my colleagues on the panel were either born in or have family from Turkey.
You need to hold it closer.
Okay, I have family from Turkey. I don't, and I think one of the reasons I'm here is because I had a miracle in Turkey, hi Fatima, that involved technology, age, gender, and magic. So I'm going to tell you about that because it is just a perfect example of all of these things coming together. So last February I was in Turkey, and I was leaving that night. I was in a taxi, and I think I dropped my wallet in the taxi cab. And I got out. I realized it immediately. I went to the young man, Mohammed, who was at the front desk, and I said, I lost my wallet. He said, no problem. There are cameras outside. We'll find the license plate, we'll call police, and they'll call the taxi cab driver. And they did. He really did it. Taxi cab driver didn't have the wallet. Okay, I'm fine. I leave. I've lost my wallet many times. As I get to Kennedy, my husband says to me, didn't you have an Apple tag in your wallet? I did. We look, I can see my wallet. It's 2 blocks from the hotel. Anyway, I didn't do anything that night. When I woke up in the morning, I went to see where my wallet was. It was in Bodrum. I called Mohammed. Mohammed called the police in Bodrum because I could see exactly where my wallet was. They drove to the place where my wallet was. It was a building that had many apartments. And they said, we can't go knocking on every apartment to find your wallet. Understood. 3 months later, I was going back to Turkey. And before I go, I got a phone call. a WhatsApp from a friend in Morocco who had been contacted by a policeman from Istanbul. I am telling you, this is the truth. Who said, do you have a friend named Joanne Sandler? I have her wallet. So we WhatsApped, Ahmed and I, and Ahmed said, I can, bring it to the embassy. I said, no, I'm coming to Istanbul. I'll come get my wallet. So I go to Istanbul to work with UN Women, actually. And then I go to the police station. I get to the police station. I had a young Turkish feminist with me who was, the whole time we were going over, said, I don't want to see the police. I'm afraid of the police. We got to the police station, the police, a young man in the booth outside. She said in Turkish, my friend lost her wallet. He jumped out of the booth and said, we've been waiting for you all day long. Everybody came out to give me high fives. Ahmed, who found the wallet, was upstairs, and his roommate in his office was a young woman named Alia, who told us right away she was a women's rights activist. She loved that he found the wallet. He knew all about me, and he had Googled to find out everything and to be able to track me down. And he was the man in the police station whose job it is to find the owners of lost things. Right? So interesting. So amazing in your country, in Turkey. So just to say, how many technologies and how many things that happen have to do with age, gender, right? Throughout the process, I was helped by young people, young men and women who knew the technology very well. It involved a camera at the front of the hotel, WhatsApp, Google, an Apple tag, an AirTag, right? Yeah. So many technologies allowed my wallet to come back to me. And at the same time, you have to acknowledge that if it had not been for somebody like Ahmed, whose job it was, who was so committed to finding the owners of lost things, whose heart was just extraordinarily big, none of that technology would have mattered, right? It was the human heart of that actually created success. And so, listening to the professor and thinking about all the things we hear about technology, all of the problems that get caused by technology, and the other side of that, is all of the gifts and all of the privileges and opportunities that technology offers. So I wanted to ask you, given all of those things, given what the professor talked about, the problems of commodification, the problems of invasion of privacy, the problems of AI replacing people and losing jobs, how many of you would give up your technology? 0. How many of you know anybody that doesn't have access to the internet? 1, 2, 3. Maybe. Because I think one of the really powerful things about this panel, I wanted to say, Selma, is that the subtitle of this panel, No Woman Left Offline, I think needs to become a campaign slogan, right? No woman left offline unless she wants to be. Because the kind of privileges and opportunities that come out through the story I just told you really need to be accessible to everybody, because the miracle of the gifts that technology can bring at its best, when it reaches its radical potential, its life-saving, its ability to connect people, its ability to enable lifelong learning, that is something that older women could benefit from so enormously, older people in general and older women in particular, right? And so we want to see more of that. And of course, as the professor had said, the data shows that there are way too many women left offline. About 885 million women in low and middle income countries are not using the internet. In some countries in Africa, less than 10% of women over 60 know how to use the internet. This is changeable. This is actually something we can do something about with our No Woman Left Offline campaign. Right? No, because, and it does have real life consequences to be offline. And one of the things that I was reading is that today more than 90% of governments offer some type of services online, which is progress in some ways. But imagine if you're an 80-year-old woman with no access, and suddenly the health appointment you need, the identity document you need, the justice you need when courts go online is dependent on you having a screen. If you have no screen, you have no justice. And so how are we going to work together to change that situation? Well, one of the things we wanted to talk about in this panel was intergenerational possibility, which offers so many advantages to older people, God bless you, and younger people. And so I just wanted to share 3 examples. One is the, I don't know, have any of you ever heard of the Grandma TikTok School? No, of course not. I hadn't heard of it either until I did research on ChatGPT. But anyway, it's a community program in Italy that pairs teenage volunteers with older women to teach smartphone skills. And so they're supposed to teach older women texting, banking apps, and health services. But the women that they work with became very interested in TikTok, and then started making their own TikTok videos, doing cooking, dancing, telling stories. And then the young people helped them film themselves. They posted, and of course they became instant TikTok stars with thousands and thousands and thousands of followers. And so it's an example of how young people taught the technology and older women taught the storytelling. It was their stories that got projected, and we need so many more of their stories. And just in India, there's a program called Internet Sati, which Google and Tata Trust support. They train trainers, and trainers include some older women themselves who ride bicycles from village to village and teach older women to use voice search, digital payments, online government services. And they told a story about how one trainer who was working with older women said, "What would you like me to ask the online Siri, Amazon, whatever they're called," right? And the women were quiet for a minute and they said, "Ask them why our grandchildren visit us so rarely." And everybody laughed. And then the trainer said, "Well, You can't search that actually, but you can video call your grandchildren and taught them how to video call. And then the older women were able to have much more contact with their grandchildren and great grandchildren and et cetera, et cetera. So there are so many ways we can imagine expanding these gifts to many, many more older women. And I just wanted to end by saying two things. One, I have two podcasts. One is called Two Old Bitches, and it's about older women re-energizing how older women reimagine themselves as we age. And when we started that, we had no idea we didn't even know what a podcast was. We said, let's start a podcast, but my co-producer and I had no idea. Younger people taught us so much. Podcasting is so easy. There are so many stories you all need to tell. So I just want to encourage all of you. It's a very low cost, easily accessible form of communication. Please think about starting your own podcast. They're really, it's just a wonderful way to reach people. And finally, I wanted to end by saying I am very serious about a global campaign called No Woman Left Offline. Thank you.
Microphone back.
Well, Joanne, thanks so much. Now we have a campaign.
We have a campaign.
And the name of that campaign, the title comes from Fatma, because it was produced by her. And I like this very much. If you have no screen, you have no justice. That's right. And the intergenerational approach is life-saving. I fully agree with all this. Indeed, we are doing intergenerational work with Nihal. She will speak later on after Fatma. And the example you gave with, young people teaching older people, I think they have examples also in some European countries. Those students are kind of given scholarships when they work with, older people. So it's kind of a two-way approach. Okay, thank you so much. It was, very interesting to listen to you, and your wallet is the key story here. And now I would like to give the floor to Fatma. And Fatma indeed is we are always two moderators, but Fatma is going to make a statement today. It is not easy to introduce Fatma because Fatma is an organizer. She's a feminist, she's an activist, and when you're in need of anything, just call Fatma. So this is another title, just call Fatma. And she will be always there 24 hours, non-stop. And she does immense work. She actually lives in America, and she's our hand here. And she's also working on all the, so we both established Patiska Platform together. Now I will give the floor to dear Pat.
Thank you, Selmacığım. Thank you very much. Thank you all for coming and being with us together. And I would like to say hi to the friends following us through Zoom. I can see that there are a lot of people in the Zoom. Merhaba to Turkey. I am Fatma Aytaç. I am a friend of Selma. I am very happy to be a friend of Selma and to be a part of this women's solidarity group. I am industrial engineer, in fact, and I am one of the founders of the Red Pepper Association and now the board member of the association. I would like to say a few things about, today, we are coming together in the shadow of weapons. World is burning, so yet we're here to ask an important question. How can we strengthen our solidarity and continue to work together? I would like to say a few words about the Red Pepper Association, which is one of the hosts of this panel. Is it echoing?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Red Pepper Association is an independent civil society organization advancing the rights of women and girls, promoting gender equality in society at large, and working to prevent all forms of discrimination and violence against women. Through advocacy, research, and community-based programs, the association works to strengthen women's participation in social, economic, and public life, to empower girls through gender equality education and leadership development. In addition, association develops programs in science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics to encourage girls' participation in relevant areas, and promotes implementation of key international treaties, including Istanbul Convention, CEDAW, and other international agreements, and engage with policymakers, civil society, and global institutions. And has consultative status with United Nations ECOSOC, is a part of national, international feminist networks working towards a just and equal society. I would like to say something about today's subject. In fact, the No One Left Offline, welcome dears, No One Left Offline is a good slogan really. Thanks to ChatGPT finding that slogan. Technology is transforming every aspect of life, you know. It shapes how we learn, how we work, how we participate in public life, and how we stay connected. But when digital transformation unfolds without an explicit commitment to equality and inclusion, it risks reproducing and deepening a very inequalities it promises to overcome. For girls and young women, this transformation creates enormous opportunities. This is why encouraging girls to pursue STEM education is so important. These fields are not only shaping the future of work, they are shaping the future of our societies. Yet, we still see persistent gender gaps in these areas. Girls are often discouraged from STEM fields due to the stereotypes, structural barriers in education and employment. When girls are excluded from technology and science, they are not just missing out on careers, they are excluding shaping our future itself. So at Red Pepper Association, we respond to this challenge through concrete programs and advocacy. Our project, Breaking Gender Barriers in STEM, creates opportunities for girls to engage with science, technology, and imagine themselves as a future engineers, scientists, and innovators. The girls entering STEM today will not only use technology in future, they will design and shape it. Expanding women's presence in science and technology ensures that systems shaping our lives becomes more inclusive, responsive, and accessible across all generations. When women build the technologies of tomorrow, those technologies reflect realities of women's lives across this life course. The digital revolution must work for everyone, ensuring that no generation of women is left behind or disconnected from the world around them. Many older women did not grow up in digital technologies. As services from healthcare to banking to government services increasingly move online, digital exclusion can easily turn into the social exclusion. This is why I am so proud to have been involved in Patiska Platform. Thank you, Selma. An initiative that focuses on women and aging in the digital era. Together with SistersLab, we are involved in a project that supports digital literacy for women over age 45. Through this work, we aim to ensure that women are not excluded from the digital world simply because they are born in a different technological era. What we see in these programs is incredibly inspiring. When women gain digital skills, they reconnected with the world. Digital literacy becomes not only the technical skills, but also a tool for independence and empowerment. However, access and skills are not alone enough. The vision behind Women Wisdom Web reminds us something important. Progress happens when generations of women support and learn from each other. Girls bring innovation, creativity, bold ideas. Older women bring experience, resilience, and wisdom. When these strengths come together, we create something far more powerful than the technology alone. We create solidarity across generations. This is exactly the spirit behind the initiative that will be presented next by our young colleague, Nihal. I am particularly happy that after my remarks, our young colleague will present a digital literacy project implemented together as a joint effort which focuses on empowering women over 45 with digital skills and confidence. It is a wonderful example that the intergenerational collaboration can look like in practice and how technology can become a tool for inclusion rather than exclusion. Now I am giving floor to Nihal. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Fatma. And as you said, digital developments could be very exclusive, while we expect them to become inclusive, and therefore we have to be very careful about that. And but one thing you said is very important: digital literacy can become a tool of empowerment, if of course we can access it. So the problem is still with lies with the accession of women to such facilities. Now, we started with the older, and we are giving the floor to the younger. And she has all the skills and experience and everything about STEM and, digital literacy, I would say. As Fatma has told you, we have prepared a project with SistersLab.org. I will just give you one piece of it. I said that we should implement it to only to women over 65, so to 65 plus. And are you going to talk about this? I'll stop here. Okay. And they said that the sisters said that, yes, but Hoca, now there are a lot of women around 40, 45. They started applying and they are saying that we cannot also access, digital literacy facilities. Why are you excluding us? And then they had to decrease the age. So it was going to be 65 plus, and it turned out to be 45 plus. And now Nihal is going to tell you all about that. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Nihal, and I'm one of the founders, the Association of SistersLab Women in Science and Technology. The story of SistersLab actually started from a very personal place. We are three sisters. My older sister, Hilal, is a software developer, and my younger sister, Merve, like me, works in civil society and in the field of women's empowerment. Growing up, we noticed something very early on because of where we lived and the socioeconomic conditions around us. The potential of women and girls often remains invisible, especially in fields outside traditional roles such as STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. As SistersLab, we believe that technology can be a powerful tool for women to strengthen their place in both daily life and professional life. But the reality is that technology is not accessible to everyone. And digital transformation can only be a real transformation if it is accessible to everyone. That's why in 2021, the three of us founded SistersLab and began creating inclusive opportunities for women in technology. Today, SistersLab work to support women and girls in gaining skills and confidence in STEM fields. Our guiding principle is very simple: leave no one behind. For this reason, we try to reach women from many different age groups, not only young women, because digital transformation is not only about young people, it is about the whole society. Today, I would like to share with you one of the projects we developed from this perspective. Tech 45 plus, empowering the digital skills of women aged 45 plus. This project was implemented with the financial support of the French Embassy and in partnership with the Patiska Platformu. The project started with a very simple but important question. As the digital world changed so rapidly, where do women aged 45 and above start in this transformation? Most technology training programs focus on young people, but women later in life are often left out of these opportunities. Yet these women are a strong and vital part of our communities. They are mothers, workers, entrepreneurs, producers, teachers, leaders in their communities like this. Through this project, we provide basic digital skills training to 5,376 women from across Turkey. These trainings, we are not limited to online sessions. We also organize in-person meetings through collaboration with local partners. For example, in the city of Eskişehir, we organized a digital fraud awareness training in the cooperation with the Eskişehir Metropolitan Municipality. During this training, our association legal advisor, attorney Dilan Orak, met with participants and discussed how women can stay safe in the digital world. Many participants told us that it was the first time they had learned about the digital fraud methods in such detail. Together, we discussed how to protect personal data, how to recognize suspicious messages, and how to avoid dangerous links. These local gatherings are extremely valuable for us because digital skills are not only about learning how to use technology, they are also about building a safe and confident digital life. At the same time, these meetings create a powerful space for women to share their experiences and support each other. The trainings themselves focused on practical digital skills that women can use in their everyday lives. In total, delivered training in the 14 different topics. This includes topics such as using artificial intelligence in daily life, Google tools, Canva, social media, digital marketing, and digital security like this. Just a second. Another step we took in this project was to make trainings more accessible. For this reason, we uploaded the recordings of the sessions to our YouTube channel. In this way, women who could not attend the trainings or those who would like to watch them again can access the content anytime. When designing these trainings, our goal was very clear. We wanted women to feel more confident and more empowered in the digital world. After the trainings, many women told us things like, now I can manage my own task online. I learned how to protect myself from online fraud. Now I can communicate with my grandchildren more easily through my phone or computer. This change may seem small, but they create a very meaningful transformation. Another important aspect of this project for us was intergenerational solidarity. Through this initiative, we built bridges between generations, between different experiences, and between different life stories. People from different age groups came together, learned from each other, and shared their perspectives. In fact, it was Selma Hoca guidance that helped us recognize how important it is to focus on this topic. So I would like to take this opportunity to thank her as well. This project reminded us of something very important. Digital transformation cannot truly be a transformation unless it is inclusive. If part of society is left behind, inequalities will only continue to grow. That's why strengthening the digital skills of women later in life is not only an education issue, it is also an issue of equality and access. Digital skills play a crucial role in world access to information, their participation in economic life, and their visibility in society. And finally, since I'm not very confident with my English, I had to read my speech from paper, so I play just for that. Thank you very much for listening.
Dear Nihal, we are not native speakers. Nobody speaks perfect English, and you don't have to. So that was excellent English, I would say. And thank you so much for all the work that you have been carrying out. And the three sisters worked so hard. And the work that they are doing for women and for young people is immense. And therefore, I really congratulate you all. And thank you so much for being with us today. And now I pass the floor to our moderator, Fatma.
Yes, Nihal, thank you so much, really. The project is very inspiring. And all the talks, I mean, Joanne's story is unbelievable. I listened it yesterday. It's really a miracle. And Bertil Hoca, thank you so much. Your speech, it was great. I'm very happy that to be together with this group. Now I'm opening the floor for the questions and answers or comments. Neslihan. Esra.
I have a very short question. For Joanne. You mentioned you have two podcasts, but name only one. What is the second one? And another question one is, when you found your wallet, it was everything included.
So that's three questions.
Yes.
So the
Thank you so much. I think it's such a fantastic panel. And thank you to Nihal. You've done a really great job. I just wanted to talk about language justice. Is the tools that you have, are they in I hope they're not in English. Your English is very good. But I think it was very good to hear about the support that you're giving the older women. And I think, as Joanne said, you have to, everything now is through the screen. So I think you're really leading on making sure everybody's included. And I just wanted to know, how do you keep those women safe from the predators of the digital world?
Oh, maybe we'll have another tour. Oh, sorry. Okay. Okay. First, my apologies.
So they say us.
Hello, Nihal, it sounds like a great business opportunity for you to create a SistersLab all over the world. I mean, it sure seems like it's something that could really be used and needed. So that's just my only comment.
Thank you.
Yes.
Maybe we can start with Joanne, some sort of
Nihal için
okay, sure.
çeviri yaparız.
Just a short translation.
Very quickly, very.
Is the valid.
You want me to, while they're talking, I'll answer.
I'll give you.
Okay, well, the wallet contained everything except for the money, except they left $1 in the wallet. And was so generous. And the other podcast is called Gender at Work. And it's a podcast about, guess what? Gender at work.
Merhabalar, teşekkür ederim yorumlarınız ve güzel sözleriniz için. Öncelikle yani çok güzel. Millet adaleti konusundan ve kız çocukları ve kadınları işte dijital dünyadaki şiddetten nasıl koruyacağımıza dair neler yaptığımızı ve neler yapabileceğimizi sormuşsunuz. Öncelikle biz de şeyden çok üzgünüz. Hani bu eğitimlerin teknik olmasına ötürü çeviri desteği için çok yüksek bütçeler gerekiyor ve bunun için sivil toplumda yeteri bir bütçe olmamasına ötürü tek dili Türkçe olduğunu söyleyebilirim. Ama Türkiye'deki mülteci konusundan haberiniz vardır muhtemelen. Dolayısıyla Arapça ve Farsça eğitimleri farklı mülteci odaklı çalışan STK'lar aracılığıyla çevresini yapabilsek bile haricindeki dillerde bunu yapabilmemiz yakın zamanda çok mümkün görünmüyor. Keşke bunun için bir lojistik desteğimiz olsa ve bütçemiz olsa da yapabilsek. Ama bunun çok büyük bir problem olduğunu biliyorum. Bir bu.
Thank you very much for mentioning language justice. She responded to it first. Of course, as you would guess, because of the budgetary limitations that we are all struggling with, the majority of the content is available in Turkish. However, we're very glad that you've mentioned it, particularly for the projects and programs where we work with refugee communities. We're doing our best to include Arabic and Persian availabilities, but we would be very happy to have certain logistic support funds and capacity building available to make it even more inclusive in terms of language justice.
And maybe diğer konuya dair ise şu anlık aktif olarak yaptığımız, daha doğrusu SistersLab'in kurulduğu zamandan bu yana aktif olarak yaptığımız temel işlerden birisi dijital dünyada bulunmayı bu kadar desteklerken buradaki tehlikelerin de farkına varıp buradaki tehlikelerden kadınların ve kız çocuklarının haberdar olmasını sağlamak ve kendini koruma mekanizmalarını kendi koruma mekanizmalarını oluşturmalarını sağlamak da temel görevimiz. Bu yüzden de en temelde böyle aslında karar alıcılar ve aslında liderler aracılığıyla bunu yapıyoruz. Direkt olarak biz eğitim vermektense öğretmenler, veliler, okul müdürleri, ya okuldaki yetkililer diyebilirim, kurum temsilcileri yani daha çok kamu tarafındaki temsilciler aracılığıyla bu eğitimleri yaygınlaştırma, daha çok yukarıdan aşağı inen, bunun bir hem aynı zamanda görev bilinciyle kişilere öğretilmesini sağladığımız süreçler yapıyoruz. Hedefimiz bunu daha yerele de taşımak ama şu anlık elimizdeki bütçelerle yapabildiğimiz ölçüde daha çok böyle en kısa sürede en çok kişiye nasıl ulaşabiliriz düşünerek liderler aracılığıyla bu eğitimleri yaygınlaştırma sürecindeyiz. Tabii ki daha farklı önerileriniz ve fikirleriniz olursa da seve seve dinleriz. Bizim için SistersLab'i geliştirmek için büyük bir öneriler olacaktır.
Thank you very much for the second part of your question. Nihal talked about some sort of a gradual two-step approach that they have. Of course, in the trainings, they're doing their very best to provide support for girls and women so that they are aware of the dangers as the first step and that they can develop their self-protection through the tools that they're providing in the trainings. But furthermore, the most important step that they're trying to do is to make sure they're reaching to decision makers, to teachers, the critical people in schools, the managers, and of course, the stakeholders who are in public sector to make sure that these trainings and the core principles are disseminated through these decision makers. But of course, she said that they are more than willing to hear more ideas. Right now, they're trying to kind of transfer the message and transfer the trainings and disseminate and expand more through particularly decision makers and public sector stakeholders, but they're always open for collaborations and further discussion.
Evet. Çok teşekkür ederim güzel sözleriniz için. Açıkçası bizim temel amacımız burada bulunmak, burada bulunurken temel amacımız gerçekten de yaptığımız işleri çok aslında globalde savunuculuğun yapılması gereken bir konu olduğu için burada da duyurmaya çalışıyoruz. Ama biz buradaysak bunun gerçekten tek sebebi, hatta temel sebebi Selma Hoca ve Fatma Hoca'nın destekleri. Onlar burada bizi desteklemiyor olsa, bizim en basit işte Amerika için bize konusunda destek olmuyor olsalardı biz şu an burada olamayacaktık ve sadece Türkiye'de sesimizi duyurmaya çalışacaktık ki yerelde bunu yapabilmek çok zor, tahmin edersiniz ki bu kadar farklı yerlerden gelen insanlara hitap edebilmek çok büyük bir şey ve aslında gerçekten zor da bir şey. O yüzden eminim ki hocalarımın da desteğiyle bunu daha da hızlı bir şekilde daha farklı platformlara taşımaya çalışacağız SistersLab'i. Ama sadece ve sadece yine burada bizi desteklediği için hocalarıma çok çok teşekkür ediyorum. Onların sayesinde biz buradayız. Çok sağ olun.
Thank you very much. Very quickly, first of all, Nihal, thank you for your kind words. Of course, they truly believe that carrying these core principles to the global advocacy platforms is very important, and that is one of the reasons why they are here. Nihal also mentioned that they are here because of the immense support of Salma Hoca and Fatma Hoca from figuring out visa processes to having platforms like this to disseminate the word of the work that they do. But yes, they're hoping to have further dissemination in global advocacy platforms faster and beyond borders. So she's thanked you.
There was a question. Okay. Is there a question for Joan waiting for response? No. I think no. Okay. Can we have a second? Esra. Gülfer. Esra. I saw one.
Thank you for your presentation. I think during pandemic, internet access and digital literacy became extremely important. At that time, I was managing a project, women's empowerment, implemented in 6 countries, 6 cities during across Turkey. Suddenly we are locked down and we couldn't go to that space. And we quickly redesigned our training, the empowerment training, to be delivered online. And then we can also able to reach more than 700 women. That's okay. That was okay. But however, there was a significant challenge. Many of these women did not have internet access, and we have to negotiate with mobile operators to provide internet access to them. Yeah, we can do it. We could, but in Turkey, internet access is still very expensive. And also that moment, these women were over 40 mostly. And also, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this issue. How do you think we can overcome such barriers to ensure women's digital access? In case of poverty increasing, and just like something.
Well, thank you.
All right, I have a comment and a question. Your session actually resonated with me a lot as somebody who actually works on the technology, trying to do the digital transformation in the workplace. Having access to that transformation is important. And then also, I worked on some of the social impact projects earlier in my career. We were building platforms for veterans who comes back to work, how they can bring their skills up, or women who left for childcare, coming back to work, skills build. We had that platform. So this whole discussion about access is very, dear to me as well. So thank you very much. It's very, important. But in this transition period, here's my question to you guys, who works with UN in terms of the resolutions that can be sustainable for next generations too, not only current ones. So right now, this generation already is immersely in this, digital era. So when you have the resolutions, it has to also think about the young people too. Right now, today's young people will be the older folks later on. So how you can make sure the UN resolutions actually are sustainable for everyone. So that's my question to you guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think we have another question, Fatma.
I would like to say thank you for all participants and the speakers. It was a very good panel. And just one comment. I'm a parliamentarian from the Grand National Assembly of Turkey, and I think states are digitalizing. So it's really important that we need to be aware of this digital access, especially for the older women, is required. And I got my homework from today's panel that maybe what are we need to improve the national tools, national legislations, of course, and we need to create some national action plans, especially the local authorities will lead these action plans. And Nihal mentioned our proud municipality, Eskişehir municipality, and I think we need to improve other good examples. Maybe you could talk and mention about how can we do that. If you maybe some good practices you can mention, you may mention to us. You can talk about it. And I want to also tell you a report. Parliamentary Assembly of Council of Europe just published on last year, January 2025, which is overcoming age-based discrimination against older persons, and it specifically addressed the digitalization and its impact on accessing goods and services. And of course, it's not enough, but maybe you can also tell us about more. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Did you get the answers?
Yeah. I think yes, everyone can answer.
Probably I can respond to the comment as regards structural barriers in terms of providing opportunities or quotas for access to digital world. Of course, it is just a huge barrier. However, providing a meaningful consultation with the civil society, developing partnerships, and establishing a lobby and a network probably as regards such types of demands, and the inclusion of the local authorities mentioned by Franco may be a good opportunity. So that these are structural barriers, and these structural barriers cannot be tackled actually by providing meaningful development plans or action plans and meaningful strategies. However, in terms of practical solutions or in terms of developing an innovative approach, it may be more practical, providing opportunities for groups, for certain segments of society, in terms of a prioritization, of course. Some of the segments of the society may be in greater need in terms of having an access according to their demographics, and such a prioritization policy may be a good choice, and it may be more practical, and the public authorities may be convinced when we develop some sort of a strategic approach as regards prioritization. However, I think that the developing partnerships should be deemed essential in any case to become local and to claim some basic requirements as regards digital inclusion. And the quota is a minimum requirement of digital inclusion, and it may be prioritized. That would be my practical solution. However, at the macro level, of course, as you have mentioned, Aysu, we need a broader approach. Probably it may be good for developing a partnership with the parliamentarians to bring up all those types issues as an issue of a legislative proposal. So it is just the macro level solution. However, at the micro level, it may be good to develop a civil initiative as regards demanding the quota for digital inclusion, for digital access.
Thank you. To go into the resolution, sure. And also just to say, in terms of the access problem, I remember being involved in the World Summit on the Information Society in, I think it was 2003 or 2002, where a lot of people said access won't be the issue, right? Because it's in the interest of all of the companies, from Google to whoever, to make sure everybody has a device. That's business for them. So I think partnerships with the private sector are very important to get greater access. And you can see the India example, Google is right in there because Google wants everybody to be online. It's in their interest. So how are we leveraging that to make sure that everybody has access? And then there are other problems that get created, and that goes to Esther's question, because you have to be future oriented about all of this, and UN resolutions are generally negotiated by septuagenarian, by people who are older, unfortunately. And so I think the most important thing is to make sure younger people are in the room. When those resolutions are being formulated, when priorities are being set for the future, and that younger people keep staying in the room. Because another huge issue with UN resolutions, all of them, is that they have very commendable intentions, and they have no teeth. There's no consequence for non-implementation. So how do you build a constituency for those kinds of future-oriented resolutions? By building a cadre of young people who really see the value of multilateralism, feel like they have a stake because they were developing these resolutions, and then are on the ground to implement them.
And you have people like that.
Exactly. Like you.
Thank you, Joyce. Thank you.
But before we stop, I know you're going to make an announcement.
Yes.
And I would like to thank Elida, because she's always there for us for translation, for technical issues, and for intelligence, I would say. And but Elida, would you like to also introduce yourself for a minute and tell what you're doing?
Thank you very much, everyone. It is such a pleasure to be in this room and to facilitate conversations like this is just joy for me. Very quickly, just I collected keywords from all of the every single panelist sitting in front of me has taught me something in my life in this feminist journey. So I collected keywords. By the way, I'm a menstrual justice advocate and a researcher at Koç University Gender Studies Center. So a mixed cocktail of a little bit of academia, a little bit of civil society, and I work with UN Youth Office and UN Women for meaningful youth engagement. So truly speaking as a mixed cocktail, or a woman with a patchy hat on. I've collected keywords, and I thought, if I had to enter these as prompts into artificial intelligence, let's not say artificial intelligence, but put it in my own intelligence, what would it say? I've taken from Salma Hocam the rights of older women, and what is my homework as a youth rights activist. Intergenerational solidarity is a two-way street. I think we're talking a lot about meaningful youth engagement, but solidarity requires supporting each other, what I can do more. From Bertil Hocam, I picked design inequality, which I need to deeply think about. And as lawyers, how we are passionate advocates for comprehensive legal frameworks, but then we love to complain about implementation. So that made me think more about design inequality. From Joanne, the joyful sisterhood of traveling wallets, the miraculous story of the traveling wallets, gave me so much hope and joy. From Fatma Hocam, girls pursuing STEM, how important that is, how important the lessons we are taking from the field that I know Kırmızı Biber is pursuing in the field, how important that is, and the no one left online or no woman left online slogan. And my dear sister Nihal, from her that I had the honor of being side by side next to each other, what intergenerational solidarity truly means, and how important and vital accessible contents are that they're producing in life. And I'm also learning from them. So throughout generations, they're teaching us. Collecting all these prompts, it gave me this Turkish song for international people in the room. A Murat Mongan poem or a yeni türkü song. Ya dışındasındır çemberin ya da içinde yer alacaksın. Translating to, you're either outside the chamber, the circle, or you have to be in. Digital exclusion and inclusion really reminds me of that. Yes, exclusion is a problem, and yes, we're building bridges for further access, but companies are already wanting that. But within the circle, it's also not a garden of roses. And we need to do way more work about those who are in the circle and all those who are trying to find their ways in the circle. So in solidarity, in intergenerational solidarity, that's what my intelligence gave me back as a response.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. We summarized great, really. And at the end of the panel, we would like to invite everyone to hear. You know, as we said at the beginning of the panel, we are making this event in the shadow of weapons. The world is burning, so we want to say no to war. If you would like to join us, please come to work. Yes, active.
Yes, yes. URL.
Come here to take the group photo. Dear friends, we are waiting all of you for the group photo. Yes, come. We have 5 minutes only.
Yeah, I said.
Okay,
Can you say everyone?
yes.
Okay,
1, 2, 3.
nice.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, no one will left behind.
Thankful, please.
One more time.
No woman left behind.
No war.
No more war.
Sorry, can you take a video? Can you take a video saying no more?
Okay, we have a few minutes only. We need to let.
I want to take a video saying no to war.
Bakmanın bir yeri var.
Please, no war.
No to war.
No to war.
No
to war. No to war. No to war. No to war. No to war. No to war.
Thank you. But you can take us. You can take us.
Tamam hocam. Çok teşekkür ederiz değerli katılımcılarımız. Çok teşekkür ederiz. Kayda alınmıştır. Thank you very much, dear online participants. Thank you for your solidarity. Lots of love and solidarity from New York. Thank you very much. We wish you a great day.